I'm Joe Day, and what you're hearing are, of course, the sounds of trash being collected here on Kauai. These sounds reflect what obviously is a major problem on this island: what to do with the many tons of waste created here. The county government is proposing to help alleviate the problem by proposing 2 ordinances aimed at requiring more recycling here on Kauai. No one knows more about that than Allison Fraley.
I'm the Solid Waste Programs Coordinator.
In a general way, waste on this island is a huge issue, isn't it? I mean, it's a small island. There are a lot of people creating a lot of waste. How would you characterize the extent of the problem?
Well, our main problem with waste on island is that we have limited capacity at the current landfill, which is in Kauai. We're doing expansions to the landfill. Right now we're working on a vertical expansion, which would make the height increase to 120 feet. Right now I believe we're at 85 feet. So the height increase, and then after that we're going to have to expand out, to gain about 6 or 7 years of landfill life. And we're working on siting a new landfill. In fact, we've been working on siting a new landfill for the last 15 years, and it's very difficult.
Because nobody wants it near where they are.
That's the main problem. Other issues are there aren't a lot of areas to have a landfill on Kauai because we have so much water and very little land that we actually can put a landfill. So, over the years, we've done a lot of studies, siting studies and community outreach and discussion about where to put the landfill. And it's moved around. And right now we're looking at the Ma'alo site in the Lihue area.
But that hasn't been finalized in any way.
Well, that's our designated site at this point, and we're going through an EIS study to...
Environmental stuff.
Yes, environmental, thank you. So that's where we're at with that. So that really increases the urgency to divert waste from the landfill and to keep our capacity at Kauai as long as possible before we move forward with another landfill.
How much of the waste on this island is generated by business, and how much, by comparison, by people in their homes?
We're estimating, just based on the information that we have of the waste coming into both the transfer stations and the landfill, that it's about 55% is generated by businesses and 45% is generated by residents.
One of the solutions that you're looking at is increasing the whole recycling program. So
right now the diversion rate on Kauai, recycling rate, is 42%. So what that means is that of all the waste that's generated before anything's recycled, 42% of that gets recycled, and then the rest of it, goes to landfill. And so our goal is to get to 70% recycling and 30% landfilling. The national average is about 32%. So we're doing really well, especially for a rural community that has all of the challenges that we have. And those include geographic isolation. That's a big one. People don't understand, why don't we have curbside recycling on Kauai? Well, it's because we have a small stream of materials coming in, and we don't have the facility to properly sort a mixed stream of recyclables and get that stuff marketed right now. Now we're working on that, but that's just an example of some of the challenges that we have being geographically isolated. We can't just go to the neighbor municipality where we can take all of our stuff. We need to create these recycling infrastructures here in order to deal with the waste.
What are the basic ordinances that you are proposing to the county council?
So the ordinances are for commercial recycling. Right now, we have restrictions on commercial waste at the landfill, and those are working out pretty well. But these ordinances would shift the responsibility onto the generators, which are the businesses, instead of the haulers who take the waste to the landfill. So there's 2 ordinances. One is commercial recycling. So all businesses on Kauai would would be required to recycle certain items that are identified by the county engineer, and the items would be things that have strong markets. There's existing recycling programs in place, so we wouldn't require or mandate recycling for materials that are difficult to recycle or that don't have solid programs. So
What would be an example?
So the examples of the 4 items that we're targeting right now initially would be green waste, metal, cardboard, and mixed paper. And for food and beverage, we would add 2 more, which would be high 5 containers, which have economic incentive to recycle anyway, and then glass, because these businesses do get a lot of glass.
Those items would be taken off island to be recycled, to be reprocessed.
Yeah, so everything actually that, except for glass, there is some and green waste. We have on-island markets for those items. But everything else that's recycled on Kauai gets processed, which basically completely sorted for all contaminants, and then baled, which is a big machine that makes a big block of recyclables, condenses it down into a block, and then they get shipped off island for recycling.
What do you expect the reaction to this to be, and what has been the reaction so far?
Overall, it's been pretty good. We're getting a little pushback from some businesses that are just concerned, just like we did with the shopping bag ordinance, or the plastic bag reduction law is what it is, when we required that businesses can no longer distribute plastic bags at the check stand. Before that law went into effect, we got a lot of really concerned businesses not knowing how it would impact them and not wanting to make the change. So, we're seeing a little bit of that, but we're also, because we've done a lot of outreach to try to get feedback, and we have received feedback from businesses, and we've incorporated some of the feedback into the legislation that's actually, at this point, is being reviewed by the county attorney before we take it to council. So, we've seen positives too, like businesses that are already doing things that have said, hey, I'm doing it, it's easy, I'm willing to be an example for other businesses in the same sector as I am, and so everyone should be doing this, that kind of thing.
What about residents? What about people who live on this island? How would they be affected, if at all?
By the commercial recycling ordinances, they'd have the opportunity at their workplace as customers to be able to know that these things are getting recycled. So that would be the impact for them right now. We do plan to target residents in the future to not mandate recycling initially, but to incentivize it. So our plan for that.
How would you do that?
Yeah, our plan is something, it's called a pay-as-you-throw system, also known as a variable rate system for collection fees. So right now we have a flat rate for refuse collection. If you want your refuse picked up at your household, you pay an additional $6 a month above and beyond the $6 base fee. So really it's $12 a month if you have curbside refuse collection at your household. And so about 95% of the people that on the island have, subscribe, pay the extra $6 to get the refuse collection. Now, in the future, we've had a consultant come in and look at how we could implement a pay-as-you-throw system to set up a rate system where if we offer a smaller refuse cart, because right now we have 96-gallon carts at households where we're automated. We're only halfway automated throughout the island. We plan to fully automate. In half the island, the guys pick it up with a truck that has a robot arm that comes down and grabs a cart that we distribute out to you. And that's what we plan to do, is fully automate. And then at that time is when we'd offer option of a smaller refuse cart. Instead of the 96, you'd have the option to go down to a 64-gallon cart. And then if you have the smaller cart, you pay less because you're generating less refuse. And if you want to stick with the bigger cart, you pay more.
But that wouldn't be recycling.
So At this point, we're not going to have the curbside recycling because we're not there yet, but it does incentivize waste diversion. So if I want to, pay a smaller refuse fee, then I'm going to be motivated to not only recycle, but to reduce and reuse what I consume. And that's what these studies on the pay-as-you-throw systems have shown, that recycling is only part of the ways that people find ways to comply and to reduce their garbage. And if you think about it, if you can reuse, you can give things to thrift stores, you can share things with your neighbors and friends and family. And for the source reduction, you cannot generate things in the first place, things you don't need.
Because I think many people have said, this is a throwaway society. We've been sort of conditioned to just if you don't like something, or it's trash, throw it away. Mm-hmm. And basically what you're talking about, I think, is a whole different mindset.
Right.
Do you think that the fact that this is an island and that it's it's by itself out here, do you think that makes it easier for people to think along these lines?
Well, I think so. I think that everyone that lives on Kauai really does appreciate this place and appreciate nature and the beauty of the island. And so I think if the government and businesses and everybody set up a model where it's easy for people to recycle, where there's some incentive to recycle and not so many barriers, that people will do it. And we've seen that happen over the last 10 years. The recycling rate on Kauai is basically doubled, and that's because we've offered more programs, more opportunities. We have legislation in place, like I said, at the landfill, where we're monitoring green waste, cardboard, and metal that comes into the landfill. And so, the legislation and the convenience and the economic incentive are really the ways that people can participate in these programs that make them do it. I understand that for residents, for instance, the recycling programs that are in place, the drop-off containers, are inconvenient. They're just, it's hard to separate all your stuff at home and take it to the recycling center. It's much easier to put it at your curbside all in one container. I see that, and we're trying to change that. We're trying to get the curbside recycling implemented. So I would say, for people who are doing it, oh my gosh, thank you for going out of your way to make recycling happen on Kauai, because it's the people that are making it happen. It's the businesses setting up programs, in their businesses, all the hotels, the larger hotels especially, who are making this happen. And for the future, when we have more convenient programs in place, there's really no reason why you shouldn't do it. And that's what I really expect, that everyone will recycle, probably at a much higher rate, because like I talked about before, people appreciate the beauty of the island. They want to help. They need ways to do it that are easy and convenient. We are also proposing a construction, demolition, debris recycling ordinance, which would require construction projects of $100,000 or more, and all demolition projects to recycle specified materials. Right now we're targeting cardboard, green waste, and metals, as well as concrete and asphalt. And these are items that, except for concrete, are already restricted at landfill. So it's just reinforcing our current restrictions. And all of these items, actually, it's cheaper to recycle them than it is to dispose of them at the landfill. And for both of these ordinances, really what we're looking at is education and assistance with compliance. Our plan is not to go out there and fine people and put them in jail and get them in trouble. What we want to do is help.
To what degree will the public have a chance to have input on these ordinances, and what are the chances of passage, do you think?
Well, I'm hoping it's pretty good, because we have been able to, talk to the legislators, talk to the businesses, talk to the haulers and the recyclers, and see how it's going to impact them. And, they're saying, yes, good, let's get more recycling going. The chance for people to give input would be through the legislative process. I mean, we've spent since October educating businesses. We've had the information on our website. We've put out news releases. We've, had an article in the newspaper. So we've done the best that we could to get the word out. Once legislation gets at council, then there's more opportunity there as well.
For reaction from the business community, which will be most affected by the county proposals, I contacted Randy Francisco, president of the Kauai Chamber of Commerce, which has 450 members. After a meeting this week with county officials, including the mayor, he said the chamber has not yet taken a formal position on the plan. He said the chamber understands the need to decrease the amount of waste going to the landfill, including by recycling. But he also said the feeling is that the chamber members need to study the proposals further. Originally scheduled for next month, introduction of the proposals in the county council has been now scheduled for July, with a target date of July next year for them to go into effect. For KKCR, this is Joe Day reporting.